This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.
And welcome back. Debate between Prime Minister Philip Davis and members of the official opposition waged on in the House of Assembly on Monday evening during Prime Minister's closing remarks on the mid-year budget debate. Cale Campbell has more in this next report. Thanks for that report, Cale.
The back and forth between Prime Minister Philip Davis and members of the official opposition came as there was a difference in opinion on proposed new legislation the opposition feels could adversely affect the running of governance. Referencing comments made by Shadow Minister of Finance Kwesi Thompson concerning the government's use of public finances, the Prime Minister, who is the minister responsible for finance, argued that amendments are being done in accordance with international best practices.
These comments simply reinforce what we have been saying. The Fiscal Council, as constituted in legislation, was unworkable. Vital issues had not been considered in designing the membership composition of the council. There were no guardrails to ensure that the composition of the council adequately enables them to perform the job that they are being asked to do. This is not to say that they are not professionally accomplished individuals, but what the public needs is surety that the council was composed in a way that maximizes the ability to get the job done. I believe that the member from East Grand Bahama will greatly benefit from a technical explanation of the bill, which is being prepared and that will be shared. This bill had input for all to know from a wide range of internal stakeholders and benchmarks against similar legislation in other countries.
Following those comments, the Member of Parliament for East Grand Bahama responded by asking Prime Minister Davis this question.
Am I to understand that the financial bills are going to be all passed tonight? Because that was the understanding that we on this side had, was that all of the financial bills were going to be passed tonight. No, we don't. Because the not just those on our side, but there are also members in the public who have had issues with it. So I just want to know whether we are planning on passing them tonight, or whether, because I would welcome to have a technical meeting on the amendments and to discuss those amendments. I would welcome that, Prime Minister.
Prime Minister Davis promised Mr. Thompson they would return to the subject at a later date while restating the government's issues with the current Public Procurement Act, as well as addressing concerns by the opposition in relations to the government's use of special drawing rights.
The present act is overly prescriptive and does not reflect the current realities of the systems and processes used for public financial management in the Bahamas. It is as if the drafters never engaged with practitioners. The legislation reflected a government totally disengaged from the people on the ground. That's the present act. Our reforms are far from done. We are moving ahead with our review of the Central Bank Act, the Statistics Act, and the Public Debt Management Act. With respect to the Central Bank Act, we have tabled an amendment to align our legislation with the IMF's intent and directives. You met with the Central Bank, and they would have told you what it's all about. With respect to the use of the special dispensation of special drawings right, I believe, as I said, the leader of the opposition, the current leader, not the leader in waiting, received a special briefing from the Central Bank in this regard, explaining to him how this all works after his remarks at the beginning of the year. We are going even further.
Opposition leader Michael Pintard rejected the claim by Prime Minister Davis that the Central Bank of the Bahamas briefed him on the government's use of SDRs. Mr. Pintard said there was no such briefing. Meanwhile, the opposition continues to accuse the government of illegally taking advantage of the special drawing rights. For JCN News, I'm Cale Campbell.
In other news from the courts, a 16-year-old male of St. James Road spent his first night at Simpson Pen for Boys following his arraignment at Magistrates Court on Monday afternoon. Prosecutors allege the juvenile is responsible for a number of offenses. The teen was charged with 3 counts of attempted murder, 3 counts of possession of a firearm, and 1 count of attempted armed robbery, all taking place on February 13th. Due to the nature of these offenses, the teen was not required to enter a plea and was ordered by Magistrate Shaka Seville to be remanded to Simpson Pen School for Boys until May 2nd for a presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. Just last week, Minister of National Security Wayne Munro expressed concerns over the increase in young people as early as primary school age kids committing serious crimes. The government has launched a new program based in the Royal Bahamas Defense Force to help curb that trend. Police here on New Providence, once again, confiscating a firearm. This time, they confiscated a firearm containing ammunition and arresting 4 adults in the process as well. On Monday, sometime around 2 p.m., police were alerted to gunshots being discharged in the Flamingo Gardens community through its shot spotter technology. Responding officers, including officers from the SWAT unit along with the K9 unit, were directed to a home on Asphalt Street, Flamingo Gardens, and while their officers conducted a search of the premises and discovered a firearm containing 10 live rounds of ammunition. Subsequently, an adult female and 3 adult males were arrested. The Anti-Gang and Firearms Investigation Task Force will continue investigations into that incident. Repatriations of illegal migrants are continuing following the apprehension of 127 Haitian migrants found in distress in a remote location off the coast of West Andros last Friday. Minister of Labor and Immigration Keith Bell revealing today that there may be a dozen more migrants that drifted into other areas of those keys. He says a team was sent back today for a secondary check to rescue those individuals. There were also other migrants captured over the weekend.
The Department of Immigration is working with the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to ensure that these persons are repatriated as quickly as possible. On Sunday, the 5th of March, the Department of Immigration received notification from the United States Coast Guard with a Royal Bahamas Defense Force shipwrighter on board that 145 unlawful entrants from the Republic of Cuba were found in waters between Cuba and the Bahamas. The government is in preliminary discussions with U.S. authorities with a view to having the unlawful entrants directly repatriated to Haiti. And so we are endeavoring to have them sent directly back to Haiti as opposed to them coming to New Providence. In another separate incident, 18 Dominican nationals were intercepted in Bahamian waters near Bimini. It is believed that the Dominican nationals were seeking to unlawfully enter the United States through Bahamian waters. Further updates will be provided as the information becomes available.
Minister Bell goes on to reiterate his warning to all illegal migrants living in the country to leave. He says shantytown demolitions are imminent as he was set to meet with the Minister of Works, Alfred Sayers, and the Interministerial Committee this afternoon.
I further encourage persons who may have family in Haiti, Cuba, or elsewhere who may be contemplating entering the Bahamas illegally to warn them not to do so. Persons found illegally in this country or found attempting to enter this country illegally will be deported and placed on a restricted list, which will completely bar them from any future entry into the Bahamas for any reason. The Bahamas maintains an organized system to allow for the lawful entry and orderly processing of applicants for entry into the Bahamas. This is the only process by which persons should enter the country. The public is encouraged to report violations of our immigration laws or suspected unlawful landings to local enforcement or the Department of Immigration.
To report illegal migrant activity to the Department of Immigration, call 604-0172. 604-0172. Information can also be forwarded to the department's website at www.immigration.gov.bs. That'll do it for your JCN Evening News. Once again, I'm Jarino Saunders. Thanks for joining us.
This segment of the news has been brought to you by Sun Oil Limited.